Alright. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay. Okay, Alhamdulillah. How's everybody? That was our first week of Shawwal. So inshallah, we are able to gain from Shawwal and we continue. One of the signs of Ramadan being accepted for us is that Shawwal has more, we will continue in some of our amalan in Shawwal. And Shawwal has blessings, right, for us in Shawwal. And one of the great blessings of Shawwal is to fast the 6 days of Shawwal. However, you are able to fast the 6 days of Shawwal, fast the 6 days of Shawwal. And in fact, for anyone who has fasts to make up, right, you have to make up. You have you know that you missed out days in Ramadan because of your menses and so on, right? Then you have fasts to make up, then to try and make them up as soon as possible, right? To show sincerity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as soon as you can. I don't leave the fast till Sha'ban, like next year Sha'ban. I don't do that, right? You have the whole year, right? Be sincere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Start from Shawwal. Start to repay your fasts from Shawwal. And in fact, if you do 6 days in Shawwal, then you only have a few more days left, right? So because how many days do you have from Ramadan that you have to make it up. You have to qada the fasts. So you do it in Shawwal, and then you do a bit more in Zulqa'dah, and you do a bit more in Zulhijjah. Zulhijjah, the first 9 days is recommended to fast from the 1st to the 9th of Zulhijjah. So usually if you do 6 in Shawwal and then you do 9 in Zulhijjah, that comes up to 15. And usually, unless you have nifas, nifas is postnatal bleeding. That means after you give birth and you bleed, that's nifas. I don't think anybody here has that, right? But most people, you will not go more than 15 days of Ramadan. You're not owe more than 15 days of Ramadan, right? I mean, it's highly unlikely that you owe more. In fact, it's impossible. It's impossible that you owe more than 15 days of Ramadan, right? Because you must be praying and fasting for at least 15 days between two menses. And one of the laws of menses is that your clean days must be at least 15 days. So even if you're bleeding, and inshallah I'll go into the laws of menses, right, inshallah, and I'll answer your questions if you have questions on it. But even if someone is bleeding, early, it's not even 15 days yet, and then she starts her next menses, she has to finish 15 days of praying and fasting, at least, right? At least. So most people, they don't. It's not possible, right, to go actually more than 15 days. So maybe 16 days, maybe, right? If you do half a day, that kind of thing, But if you do 6 days in Shawwal, and then you do 9 days in Zulqa'dah, in Zulhijjah, you finish 15 days, right? So why? Sometimes I wonder, like, why is it that young and able and healthy women, young girls, mashallah, teenage girls, right, even until Shaban, still haven't finished doing their fasts that they owe from Ramadan, right? Why until like next year, 1 more month till Ramadan, or 2 more months to Ramadan, still haven't qada your fast from last year Ramadan. Why? If you do all the sunnah fasts, if you do the sunnah fast of Shawwal and you do the sunnah fast of Zulhijjah, you should finish before the year ends, before the Hijri year ends. The year ends with Zulhijjah, and then Muharram is a new year for Islam. Before Muharram, you should finish, right? All your fastings. So I wonder, like even adults, like, and they're not breastfeeding, they're not pregnant, they're not sickly, they're okay human beings. They can actually fast easily. Why until Rajab still haven't do the qada? Until Sha'ban still haven't do qada? Like where were they the whole year? Not fasting at all the entire year. Like, so mashallah. So in fact, you should be prioritizing your qada fasts over sunnah fasts, right? Not to do sunnah until you finish your qada, right? Because you don't know when you will die, and so if you die, at least you finish your qada already, right? You don't owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anything, and alhamdulillah, you all here, all young girls, young women, alhamdulillah, you're hearing this now, that you must qada your Ramadan fast, right? I've met so many of my students in their 40s, in their 50s, their whole life they never qada their Ramadan fasts. So then suddenly they have like 90 days to qada altogether, or they have 100 days to qada, 150 days to qada, They just never qada their fast ever. Then you're wondering like subhanallah, if you have that number of days to qada your fasts, then so it's very daunting. You have to qada. It doesn't disappear. It is going to be on your on your account till the day of judgment. You have to qada, right? So those who are not have not done your qada from previous years, you must do your qada. Is wajib, right? To fast the days that you missed in Ramadan from the point of puberty. You must qada those days, right? So inshallah, just wanted to start off in that way lah, because we're in Shawwal, right? So do 6 days of Shawwal, you intend to qada, and you need qada of your fasts. That's better for you to do that. Inshallah, you get the pahala of Shawwal, right? Those who fast 6, Rasulullah says in the hadith, those who fast Ramadan, then they follow up with 6 days from Shawwal, then it is as if they have fasted the entire year. The pahala, the reward is as if you fasted the entire year. Right? So who doesn't want that? Who does not want that? Right, that kind of pahala, free pahala, see? It's really free pahala, right? It's free reward, it's free hasanat. Right, you do 6 more days after Ramadan, and then you get 1 whole year. MashaAllah. Right, only somebody who is foolish, really foolish, doesn't want that. Doesn't want to, strive harder. Just 6 more days. Right, and then you can do your qada anyway, which you have to do it anyway. Right, you have to do qadas anyway, correct? Right, just do 6 more days, and you get a whole year, right, of fasting. MashaAllah, it's a good idea. It's a very good idea. And then later on in Zulhijjah to do more fastings, and then you should finish your fastings by then. Okay, we're going to do our book, and I think, mashallah, we're very close to the end of the book. We're actually on chapter 36. I think she has 40 chapters in this book. We are on chapter 36, and just nicely, she writes, she starts the chapter by saying Eid Mubarak. Alhamdulillah. So just nice. It begins by saying Eid Mubarak. Alhamdulillah. Okay, let's read the chapter. So we're on chapter 36. I hope you all have the book, in this book, chapter 36. And inshallah, once we're done with this, I actually want to take her next book, which is Closeness to You. Nearness to You. Is it nearness to you or closer to you? I think it's Nearness to You. Right, so we take that book from her, and then inshallah we go book by book, inshallah. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Chapter 36, the wisdom of the elderly. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Eid Mubarak wa taqabbalallahu minna wa minkum, everybody. Taqabbalallahu minna wa minkum means may Allah accept from us and accept from you all of your fastings, all of your prayers, all of your Quran. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the reward that He has promised. Rasulullah said in the hadith, whoever fasts Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaban, in the hadith, whoever fasts Ramadan with full iman and desiring the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah will forgive all of their sins. So inshallah, right? We go through Ramadan, fasting it and hoping that Allah gives us all the reward. And of course, Allah gives us more than what we even understand, what we even expect Allah will give us, mashallah. Right, so he says, I hope all of you had a good time with family and friends this Eid. Alhamdulillah. My family and I went to see one of my favorite uncles yesterday, a humble man nearing 70 years old, still active at the masjid, and who in his life had started and sold numerous businesses, one of which operates worldwide. I want to see her uncle who seems to be very rich. He has like businesses everywhere, mashallah. Right, so this, mashallah, humble man nearing 70 years old. And this is one of the most beautiful things of Eid, and mashallah, most of you here are very young, right? That when you follow your parents around, now only got maximum 2. Like last time you could follow your parents around, on Hari Raya, on Eid. Or when people come over to your house, or if your mother were to say to you, come follow me and go and visit my uncle, my auntie, follow, right? Just follow them. It's 2 of you, maybe your mother and you, right? Go and follow. I like following my mother around, and then you learn about the elderly in your family, and you learn about their stories, what they have to say to you when they're and their lives and everything. Just earlier today for lunch, I went to my auntie's house. My auntie, she was at Chai Chi. Right, so I went to her house, my mom's sister. And mashallah, sitting just me and my husband, like two room, right? Two people can go. Right, so me and my husband went to see my auntie. And we were speaking to her lah, and we were just reminiscing like that, talking about my grandmother when she was alive, and how she was. And then it was so coincidental, right, that my auntie was telling me lah about the last days of my grandmother's life, because I wasn't in Singapore, I was in Tarim, I was studying, so I wasn't there when my grandmother passed away. Right? But I was very close to my grandmother when she was alive. So when she passed away, then I really felt the loss when I was overseas, because I was far away. And I wasn't with my family. I was by myself overseas with my husband. Right? So when my auntie was telling me that of the last few days, last few moments, my grandmother was alive. So she said that the day my grandmother passed away, she went to see my grandmother at my uncle's house, and just be with her for a while. Then she went to school to teach, because my auntie teaches. She went to school to teach. And then she was thinking to herself, she's going to go back later on and see my grandmother afterwards. Right? But that day itself, she extended her lesson. She ended late. And then so on her way to my uncle's house, she got the call, from her daughter, my cousin lah, saying that my grandmother had passed away already. And so she was just saying that, that she was just thinking to herself that why she extended lesson, she have just finished lesson at its time. I don't extend and take from other teachers' lessons. She was saying to me lah, all these things. Because sometimes some teachers they drag their lesson and they end a bit later, but it actually takes the lesson time of the next teacher. Correct, right? The next teacher will come in a bit later because the earlier teacher ended late. And then the next teacher comes in, and then macam it took up her own lesson time. Correct, right? So she was just telling me lah everything lah. And then she was saying to me that my brother told her of a dream about seeing my grandmother after her death, and then asking how she is in the grave and everything. And then I, I said to my auntie, actually that dream is my dream. I dreamt that. Like, it's not my brother just narrating lah, or relating the dream. Because I told my auntie that these are all nice things. Like when you hari raya, you go around, you talk to people, you learn about people last time, orang dulu, like how they were, and then how religious they were, how when they hear something, the straight away they will do, So I was saying to my auntie lah, that was actually my dream. And my auntie, she never heard it from me. She heard it from my brother. So I said it was actually my dream, but because I was in Tarim, I was far away. Like sometimes when someone passes away when you're far away, you don't your soul or your heart is unable to understand that they have passed away, because you don't see the janazah. You don't see the janazah. I don't know whether you all have ever experienced that. Because for me, when I was overseas, two people who were close to me passed away. So I experienced that you don't see them dead in front of you. You don't see it. You don't see that they have passed away. You don't see the janazah. You don't see the entire funeral and the burial and everything. Like you don't see anything. All you get is that you hear they have passed away. That's all that happens to you. You hear they have passed away, so you internalize that they have passed away. They're gone. Right? So, but when you come back to Singapore, so it feels weird. They're not around because you didn't see the entire, leaving of the person. Right? But the whole janazah process. Right? That one helps a lot for people to understand that someone has passed away. Right? So when I was in Tarim, two people who were close to me passed away. One was my cousin, and the other one was my grandmother. Right? So I still remember that when I heard the news, is that the body cannot process. Your mind cannot process, because you don't see the person in front of you dead. You don't see it. You don't see it with your eyes. Right? So because of that, I get a lot of dreams, because the mind is still, or the heart is still, or the soul, it's the heart or the mind or the soul is still trying to understand, right, that this person is no longer in this world. This person has gone. It's not in this world anymore. Right. So in my dreams, I will see my grandmother a lot in my dreams. Or I will see my cousin. I saw her a lot in my dreams. and I would talk to her, and then I would try to internalize that, okay, she has passed away, right? She has passed away. She had finished. She's passed away. My cousin was 1 year younger than me, and she passed away in when she was 27. Right? So it's very young, right? Very young, and also it was a sudden death. Right? So it wasn't like anyone anticipated that she would pass away. Right? So it was just the news just came to me on my SMS. My sister SMS me that so and so passed away today, and I said, huh? What, like who? And she said she just passed away today. And she passed away, and then 27 years old, so young, mashallah. So my this is the story that I go back here, okay? But it's history di sana. So I told my auntie lah that I dream a lot of my grandmother, and then whenever I dream of my grandmother, I would dream of the old house where I grew up in that house, and I see her. I sat next to her lah, my grandmother. I used to sleep next to her, very close to her. And so whenever I dream of that house, and then I will see her. So I said that it was one of my dreams that I was in the kitchen of that old house, and then I saw my grandmother walk into the kitchen, and then I just said to her, Nani dah meninggal, Nani dah passed away already. And then she said to me, yes, Nani dah meninggal. And then I said to her, Nani macam mana dalam kubur? How is your grave? Macam mana Nani dalam kubur? And then she said, I said to her in the dream, Nani ada cahaya tahajud. And then she said, ada cahaya tahajud, ada cahaya Quran. She said two things, right? Cahaya tahajud and cahaya Quran, right? Night prayer and Quran. And she found these two lights for her in the grave. And that is why I also knew when she was alive, she never missed her tahajud ever in her life. She will always wake up at least 1.5 hours or 2 hours before subuh, and she'll pray her tahajud. And then Quran also every day, confirm I will see her, right, with her Quran, and she'll read like 1 hour, 2 hours of Quran. So at the end of the day, in your kubur, like, who is going to be with you in your kubur? Is it going to be all these things that we spend our time on, that we watch, that we waste our time, that we follow, all of these series and all of this, drama, and all of these actors and actresses and all of these singers and all of this, whatever nonsense that is on Facebook or Instagram? It's all cahaya ke tak? Are these all lights or not? They're not lights, right? They're not lights. They will not be a cahaya for you in your kubur. Right? In fact, it might even be a darkness in your kubur. Right? You're going to be dark and gloomy. Right? So I still remember that dream that I saw of her so clearly. Cahaya tahajud and cahaya Quran. Dua cahaya. Right? Two lights in the kubur, right, for her. So I told my auntie that it was actually my dream. I saw her, and she told me that, and my auntie said that is true. Right? She never, tak pernah lepas. Right? She never let go of even one night without tahajud. Right? She never let go even one day without Quran ever in her life. And my auntie was saying that, when she was younger, my grandmother, when she was younger, in the 1950s, 1940s, when nobody pakai tudung, very few people in Singapore wear tudung at that time. She wear tudung, and she's the one person pakai tudung. Go for weddings, all pakai tudung. All she cover her aurat. At that time, nobody cover aurat. At that time, nobody was wearing their hijab. And she's the one person, she hears something that the Ustaz say about reading Surah Muluk. She reads Surah Muluk every day. Since she was 14 or 13, she heard the Ustaz say read Surah Muluk, protects you from the azab in the grave, from the punishment in the grave. She read Surah Muluk already. When she was 13, she heard the Ustaz say read Surah Waqi'ah every day, you'll not be poor. She read Surah Waqi'ah every day. She heard the Ustaz say read Surah Kahfi on Fridays. Dajjal you will be protected from Dajjal. She read Surah Kahfi every Friday. From the moment she hear, only she do. And she was, you say anak dara lah. She was a teenager. She would hear all these things from the Ustaz, and he will say, and straight away she do. And until she died in the 80s, she died. She never stopped doing it. Continuous. And she would fast on Mondays and Thursdays without stopping. Her whole life, as far as I know, right, if she's not on her menses, right, she will fast on Monday and Thursday. She never misses her Monday and Thursday fast ever. So people of orang dulu, I remember last time, their ibadah, masya Allah, and they do so much worship. People in our time, our modern time, they might see these old people as like people who are not really successful, or not really didn't really make it in life, not so rich, not famous, not popular, no followers whatsoever. No one knows who they are. Allah knows who they are. Right? Allah knows them. The Quran knows them. The Prophet knows them. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What is important, those who are important know them. Right? When we compare ourselves, right, we all who knows us? Those who are important or those who are not important, right, knows us. Right? No, mashallah. Right? For us to to understand all these things. So Hari Raya is one of the best things about I think about Hari Raya, about Eid, is that you get to visit, right? You get to visit the old people, and you get to learn a lot from them. That's one of the best parts of Eid. Right? You get to learn from how they were, and inshallah be like them. So he said, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith, "O Muslims, sit with your elders, ask the scholars, and meet wise people." Right? It is a hadith. Jalisul kubara, wasa'ilul ulama, wa khalitul hukama. There's the hadith. Sit with those who are older, because they have a lot of stories, enough experience. Learn from them. Ask the ulama, because they have true knowledge. So if any questions, don't go to Google, don't go and search it up, Google it. And sometimes I find it very, very strange that whenever I get questions online, people come to my Instagram or my Facebook, or even try to WhatsApp to ask me questions on fiqh. I have fiqh questions or Islamic questions. And sometimes they will begin their question by saying, Assalamualaikum Ustazah, I have tried Googling this, but I have not found a proper answer. So that's why I'm coming to you to ask you. It should be the first thing you do is ask the teacher. It shouldn't be the first thing you do is Google. Right? There are so many questions I always see. It always begins that way. I tried Googling, but I couldn't find the answer. Alhamdulillah, I couldn't find the answer on Google. Because if you found the answer on Google, it could have been wrong. Right? Could have been misleading, the answer on Google. Right? The first thing you should do is go to an ustad or go to an ustazah and ask your question. That's why they are around. Right? Like, you're not disturbing an ustad and ustazah by asking your question. It's not disturbance, because that's their job. Their job is to answer your question. Right? That is their job. Then for what are the ustad and ustazah? Kan? And for what do you have religious teachers if you're not going to ask them your questions? Then ask Google lah. Correct. Sometimes I wonder why people like to do that. Then they say, I tried Googling but I couldn't find the answer, so I ask you. It should be, you should ask me first. Don't go and Google and you get all the wrong answers online. Right? That's not the correct way. Mashallah. And sometimes I get people saying, sorry to bother you, but I have a question. No, it's my job. It's our job to answer your questions. You're not bothering us. You're not bothering us in any way. Like, if you send all kinds of forwarded messages, okay lah, the one occupying my WhatsApp space. Right? But if you're asking a sincere question, asking a fiqh question, that's my job lah to answer you. Right? So whenever you message me and you say, Ustazah, I need advice, or I don't know the hukum of this, I want to ask you a question, ask. That's why I'm here. that's my job. My job is to answer the questions, or anybody else, you can ask them. Okay. So she says, in today's letter, so sit with your elders, ask the scholars, and meet wise people. The khalitul hukama means to mix with those who are wise. Mix with wise people, so you can learn from their wisdom. Okay. So she says, in today's letter, I'd like to share with you 4 of the many nuggets of wisdom my uncle shared with my siblings and I yesterday. May they benefit, inshallah. My uncle shared with me and my siblings yesterday. May they benefit, inshallah. Do you know when to use my siblings and I, and me and my siblings? They're both correct depending on your sentence. You know that, right? I keep telling Fadilah, right? Me and my siblings and my siblings and I always wrongly used. Right? Basically, you remove the other person there, and then you just see, does the sentence work with I or me? Right? So when you see that my uncle shared with me, not my uncle shared with I. Okay, my uncle shared with me. Right? My family and I went over to his house. He greeted me and my family. English lesson, eh? And sometimes I hear teachers point, they always say to their students, my family and I, my family and I. It's not always correct. It's not always correct. You say me and my family when you have to say me and my family. Okay? When you have to say me, you say me. When you have to say I, you say I lah. Right? Takkan it's always my family and I, my family and I. Right? So when people macam make mistakes in their grammar. Okay, anyway, I will tell her later. Grammatical mistake. Okay, wisdom 1. Bismillah. Wisdom 1. You will get what you intend for. Biiznillah. By Allah's permission. You get what you intend for. Inshallah. So whatever you intend, you get. In the course of his, but mashallah, the word intend is correctly used over there. You know, there are also another word people keep using it wrongly. Intent is a noun. Intend is a verb. Right? There's something you see on now on Facebook. So many posts, so grammatically wrong. So many grammatically wrong posts on Facebook and Instagram. They say, what do you intend? What do you intend? No, what is your intent? And what is the intent? That is with a T. But you say, what do you intend with a D? Okay, all grammar issues. But her grammar correct. Intent is correct. You will get what you intend for. What you intend, right? Or what you intended for. Okay, last time continue with the grammar. In the course of his international business travels, my uncle had the opportunity to meet people from all around the world. In light of the Hajj celebrations, my uncle shared that one of the most inspiring people he had ever met was an Indonesian who managed to save up enough money for the pilgrimage for the Hajj, even though all that he knew to do was to fish and sell his catch, the fish, at the market. He did this day in and day out for years, and he saved enough money to go for Hajj. How do you manage to save up this much? My uncle asked. He said, because when I first started work, my first intention I ever made was that my work will bring me enough rizq to go to Hajj. Relating this story, my uncle laughed and shook his head. It's that easy. It is true, and I can tell you a few more stories about this. Like, it's that easy. You get whatever you intend for. I've met many other Muslims around the world whose intentions when they get a job are to buy a new car, a new home, pay for their children's education, etc. But Indonesia is the only country so far where I've been to where I've met numerous youths whose intention when they get their first job is to go to Hajj, and so they get what they intend for, and we get what we intend for. No, mashallah. In fact, I've my own mother-in-law. Right, she told me that when she first got her shop at the market, she has a spice shop, at the West Coast Market. Right, so her spice shop at West Coast Market. She told me, when she first opened it, the profit is so little. It's a very small profit. You can sell spices at the market. You have to pay for rents and whatsoever. So the profit maybe every month about $100 profit, $200 profit you get back. It's not much, right? But because they had so much intention, and they tried their best to keep it as halal as possible, as blessed as possible. She said that shop, the profits from that shop, every month earn a few hundred only. Every month earn a few hundred. The profit from that shop, she went for a Hajj and she went for Umrah how many times? And there are people in our zaman, they can earn 5,000 a month. They can earn 7,000 a month. Money, bring home cash, right? And still cannot go for Hajj. Still not going for Umrah. So much money they earn. Never go for Hajj, never go for Umrah. Right? Because why? Priorities. They're not prioritizing. Right? So, mashallah, this is the priority of people. You need to prioritize. What do you want to do? Right? Then you think to yourself right now, okay, now COVID. Okay, you tell yourself, okay, once COVID, ends, inshallah, it ends soon, and then you can travel again. Alhamdulillah, can travel again. Say to yourself, inshallah, I want to go for Umrah. At least go for Umrah. Say, inshallah, I want to go for Umrah. I save up my money, I go for Umrah, inshallah. Just niat. Don't think how it's gonna happen. Don't think where's the money gonna come from. Don't think anything at all. Just say, Ya Allah, right? Once you can travel again, I want to go to Kaaba. I want to go to Mecca and Medina. I want to go for my Umrah. Right? You just niat. And then Allah will make it easy for you. And Allah will give you some reason, some way or other that somebody will bring you there. Maybe you don't know, right? For Hajj and for Umrah. Okay, wisdom number 2. Speak well or be silent. The human heart is flesh and blood. It is not made of wood and stones, my uncle mused. He had just shared with us a story about how one of his contacts had maligned him. How to pronounce it? Malignite. I don't know how to pronounce it. Had maligned him. There is a Malay proverb which says that a person can paddle his canoe back when he had gone too far downstream, but words cannot be recalled once spoken, said my uncle. So learn to not speak ill of others, or even to speak badly to others, for the heart is soft and easily hurt. I remember listening to a lecture by Sheikh Ibrahim saying that we should always be careful of what we say, because sometimes something that might be trifle to us, when spoken, might sit in the heart of someone subconsciously and grow to become a negative echo within them. The first rule of speaking has to be to bear in mind that what you are saying in the consciousness of somebody else, because very often what we say to another person is very viral in character. It's an apparently small idea, but a touch of unkindness often festers in another person. We do not put this virus in the other person and walk away, and this virus eats up the person for days and months afterwards. Right? So, words can affect people. We know that as human beings, in our own experience, we know words can affect people. You go to people's houses, and sometimes I know amongst my own nephews and nieces, right? Those are older, my husband's side. That one side, they have older nephew and nieces. People can be very unkind with their words. When they see you for Hari Raya, right, they will say things about your weight, they will say things about your face, they will say things about your education, they will say things about your results, they say things about your skin color, they will say things about all kinds of things, right? There are people who just keep doing that, like their hobby, they keep saying, they just love commenting on other people, which makes other people not happy to see them. Because their hobby is to comment on other people, right? Like, and then as a younger one, you just sit there, just listen lah. Say what, right? How to answer, so don't know how to answer. Just keep quiet and smile. Correct? Right? The other day I was talking to one of my nephews, and he was saying that his auntie, he doesn't like to see his auntie. And I said, why? Your auntie what? And he said, well, whenever she see me, she call me black. I don't want to see her. She keeps calling me black. She keeps saying, dah gelap eh. Gelap lah. Like, why you keep calling me gelap? Dah lah. Allah made me this way. Finish. Why you keep calling me black? I mean, why you keep calling me gelap? Like, some people, they say, don't say that this auntie, she keeps calling me fat. Okay lah. Why must tell people? Right? Why must tell people? Most people are quite aware of how they are, right? Most human beings are quite aware of how they are. You don't really actually have to go around telling everybody how they are. Correct? And I know sure you also agree, right? You go to people's houses and then they say things about you like, I kind of know that. Right? I don't have to say in front of everybody and tell me how I am in front of everybody, right? So basically, but this is what for us to reflect. So as much we don't like people doing it to us, we don't go around doing it to other people. When you go to see people, don't have to be the first thing you say to them is you comment on their looks, right? And for a lot of people, that can become something that, even though it might be a side comment by some auntie or some uncle or whatsoever, it will stay in their head for a long time. It make them feel bad the entire day. Right? Make them feel they have no mood to do anything. Like, kind of ruins their day. Right? Just for some random comment somebody made somewhere. Right? So for us on ourselves, always control your tongue, control your mouth. Don't say anything. You're nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. That is a hadith. Rasulullah said that if you have nothing nice, if you have nothing good to say, then don't say anything. The hadith is say what is good or keep quiet. Right? Say what is good or keep quiet. Keep your mouth shut if you don't have nothing good to say about other people. So before you speak, you think to yourself, would it hurt the person? Would it benefit the person? Would it, cause any goodness between me and this person? Then if you answer, think to yourself, nah, it's probably gonna hurt the person, probably gonna make them feel bad, probably gonna, might strain my relations with that person, then don't say it lah. Right? MashaAllah. Okay, that is the second wisdom. The third wisdom, smile. Right, smile. How do you manage to build such a wide network of friends and contacts, uncle? I asked. Often when I went out with him, people from all walks of life would come up to him just to say hi. They didn't know him very well. Speak only when needed, but smile to everyone all the time. He smiled. Okay, so always smile. The sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just like people like you. You don't have to be someone who talks a lot, or someone influencer or whatsoever. Doesn't have to be it. Just be someone nice. People like nice people. So be the nice person when that goes around. Wisdom 4, always be learning. It's important wisdom. Always be learning. As we were having our lunch, my uncle started asking me about my plans for the future. When I told him that I am a current freelance work, that I'm thinking of my current freelance work, developing websites and helping businesses navigate their way online, his eyes lit up. And with the excitement of a child, he started asking me questions about e-commerce and online marketing. Now, this is a man who's already 68 years old and who by the end of this year would step down from his position in an international company. Also, bear in mind that this is a man who has built from the ground up many businesses and employed numerous workers. And yet, the very same man was choosing to continue to educate himself despite his age and even learning from a younger person. I've been reading a lot about having a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And I think my uncle is a perfect example of a person holding a growth mindset. He is always seeking to learn new things and better himself despite the odds. I think it's this attitude of always learning in both aspects of the dunya and the akhirah that all of us need to embed in us if we were to aspire for success. Bi-iznillah. May we learn to always learn from others, from the elders, the scholars, and the wise. Ameen. So always be learning and always be seeking knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah. Okay, we're gonna continue with our lesson. As mentioned, I'm going through one of the books that I use. Let me open the book, okay? I share. Any questions from that? Any questions you all have? No questions. Let me see. I will get to the book. you know. Hmm. Okay, I found the document. Let me share the document. Over here. Okay, so I think we finished about the prophets, right? Finished about the prophets. We finished about this one also, right? The first prophet. It finished. The questions here. Here, fiqh. We also finish fiqh as well, correct? Or no? Do you finish this? And the different types of water? Did I finish it or no? Here, Sirah. Do you remember where we're at? I think we didn't do the water thing, right? I think we have not done this one. Did you do it? I know the first chapter we did. Correct. Correct. The first chapter we did this one. Correct? When Nabi Adam. So I remember doing it with you all, correct? Yeah. I think we've done finished this one. Okay, inshallah we'll do our second chapter. Second chapter here. Fiqh, purification. The meaning of tahara, right? At-tahara, typo there, is purification. The meaning of purification is lifting a state of hadath. Like hadath and removing najis. So hadath is a state of being impure. So you have hadath, they have a minor hadath and a major hadath. And a najas are impure substances. So hadath is a state of impurity that a person can be in. So you are in hadath. Means you're in the state of impurity. It cannot be seen. Of course, you can't see if somebody has wudu or no wudu. You can't see if somebody, is on menses or not on menses. You can't see it in their faces. Unless they tell you, right? Or you see that they're not praying. Okay, then you know that they're on menses. But if you just look at somebody, you cannot tell this one got wudu or not. You can't see it, right? You can't see it. So it cannot be seen, but it happens because of certain specific actions, such as passing wind. And there are specific things that gives you hadath, and you should go into hadath. There are two types of hadath, major and minor. The major hadath, which all of you know about, can only be lifted by doing a full compulsory bath. And this bath, the water must touch every single part of your body. So behind your ears, in all the folds of the ears, the folds of the body, it has to go into your belly button. It has to go, underneath all your nails. It has to go. If you have piercings, it has to go inside the hole of the piercing. Your piercing is a hole, right? It has to go into, so you have to press on it, so the water goes through under every single hair and every single tiniest part of your body. That is junub. Junub meaning major hadath. Everywhere in your body there is major hadath. It can only be removed if you wash it with water. So if somebody cleans their entire body and there's a small part on their nail that is not washed properly, maybe there's a hardened dough down there or something there, or if somebody puts on nail polish or whatsoever, can't go through, the water can't go through. And for me personally, I don't trust any of this so-called wudu compliant nail polish, whatever. I don't trust them. It's your solat. Your solat is at stake. Your prayer is at stake. Do you want to come on day of judgment and then you're told that all your prayers are not counted. And then why? Because you wore some nail polish that the packaging says wudu compliant, or they say, allows for water to go through or whatsoever lah. They say on the package, and then suddenly you find out on your judgment that it's actually not wudu compliant. Actually, the water doesn't go through. Actually, would you want to? And let's see all your solat all not counted. Is it worth it? Because you have some colors on your nails. Is it worth it? It's not worth it, right? But in your judgment, you want every single solat to count. Right? So you don't want just because you want some coloured nails, or you want some coloured eyes, or you want some coloured lips, or want some coloured eyeshadow or whatsoever it is, then you forfeit your entire solat and your entire wudu and your bathing and whatsoever. It doesn't make sense, right? At all doesn't make sense. Right? So everywhere must be washed thoroughly. Right? Everywhere must be washed. So you must take out your ties in your hair, and the water must go into to the scalp of your head. Right? It must touch everywhere of your body. Minor hadas, al-hadasul asghar, minor hadas can only be lifted by doing wudu. Right? So when you do wudu, the compulsory wudu, you can lift your minor hadas. Okay, what is najis? Najis is impurities of filth, right? And it can be seen. So najis is visible. It can be seen, such as excrement and urine that prevents the ability of prayer. This is the definition. Najis prevents the ability of prayer. So when najis is there, you cannot pray. Right? You cannot pray when there's najis on your body. You can't pray when there's najis on your clothing, and you can't pray when there's najis on the place whereby you are praying. So najis are three types. The major najis is dogs and swine, right? And if you swine meaning pigs, right? Pigs. So if you kena any of if it hits you, right, dogs or swine, it must be washed 7 times. One of the washings must mix with soil. And the best way to do this is that you get the soil, right, the sand soil, you mix it with water, make it into mud, right, and then you wash the place whereby it was hit by a dog or a pig. In Singapore, where got pig? Right? Where are the pigs in Singapore? It happens in food. Right? And I remember there was once, I was in JC. I was in Victoria Junior College, right? And I was watching some of my friends, non-Muslim friends. They were eating soup, right? And they were eating soup whereby it was pork soup, right? Some kind of pork soup, right? And they were eating, and then the fluid from the soup was splattering around on the table. Right? Can you imagine if you touched all that water, that's the pork soup water splattering everywhere on the table, because they're eating, noodles and whatsoever. So when they pick up with their utensils or their chopsticks, and they pick up and then they slurp the soup with the pork inside the soup. They slurp the whole thing everywhere on the table. It's all najis mughalladha. It's major najis. Right? So of course you see on the table, I don't touch. But what if you split onto your uniform? How you want to pray? I don't know whether you're splitting when also. It's splitting everywhere. Like, subhanallah. So for in Singapore, it's not that you see pigs running around, right? But the pigs are the swine is in food, right? So the swine in food is what makes things najis. So that's why when you use utensils, you must use the one that's used for halal food, because if you use the one that's used for haram for non-halal food, they might use it for pork. Right, so when you use it for pork, even if you wash with soap, and water, does not remove the najis. It's still najis. Right, so you can't use the utensils. You must use the correct utensils. Right, so one of the washings must use soil. So the one washing with soil and water, and then 6 washings are with water. So one is with mud, right? One is with mud, and the next 6 is with pure water to wash off the mughalladha. Okay, let me see the question. You all can ask your questions, okay? Okay. Is henna counted as some block when you mandi hadas? Can you have henna? And the water doesn't go through as a mandi hadas count. Okay, henna is not on your skin. Henna, it stains your cells. That's why henna is permissible. You can use henna. Because so henna, actually, when you do henna, and I'm talking about when you already wash off the crust. when you draw henna, right? You draw henna, right? There's a crust that forms. It's a hardened part. Then you're gonna coop it. You must coop it out the crust. You must wash off that hardened part. Then you see the pattern appear on your skin. Okay, that is not on your skin. That's actually your cells have been colored. Your cells have been dyed. The dye has come into your cells. Your cells absorb the color of the henna. It's like when you hold turmeric. And when you hold turmeric, suddenly all of your hands are yellow, right? And you wash, the yellow is still there, because the turmeric has been absorbed by your cells. Your cells absorb the turmeric. So henna works that way. Henna, the cells absorb the henna. So it's not a layer on your skin, right, but it's gone inside your cells already. So when you wash for wudu and your mandi hadas and everything, right, you are washing the skin itself. You're not washing. It's not. There's no block over the skin, and the skin is not being blocked, right? But it's the skin itself. It's just that your skin has been colored, right? Or that the cells have been colored. That's all it is, right? The cells took in the color, right, into itself. That's all, right? So henna no problem, right? It is just like, that when I mentioned about nail polish. Okay, nail polish is not a. It's not. You don't actually dye the nails. Henna it colors it, right? So it dyes it, comes a dye on the cells in the nails. Nail polish is a layer over the nails. Okay, it's a waterproof layer over the nails. And even they say it's not waterproof, I don't believe it. I think it's waterproof, right? Because they say if it's not waterproof, it should be washed off, right? So it's a layer over the nails. So when you wash it, the water doesn't go through. Same thing with some makeup, right? There are types of makeup like foundation, or like all kinds of like eyeshadow and lipstick and whatsoever. It's waterproof. So when this makeup is placed on the skin, when you take your wudu, this or ghusl or mandi hadas, it doesn't go through the makeup, right? But it forms a layer on top, and in fact, it should be washed off. Even if you can go through, you still have to wash it off because it changes the color of the water. Right, so you must wash off all the makeup. And those who, the same, mashallah, when you think about it, all these things are not worth it. Not worth, risking your prayer. Not worth risking your salat. On the day of judgment, you don't want that suddenly, to see years of salat all not counted because of makeup. And you're thinking, why must I put on makeup and then my salat all not counted? It's not worth it. It's not worth it on the day of judgment. You think to yourself, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Mashallah. Okay, alhamdulillah. Let me continue. Right. Okay, the rest major hadas. For major najis. For minor najis, it is a urine of a baby boy of less than 2 years old who has only drunk milk. It is enough to sprinkle water on the spot. The water must be more than the urine. Because that is muhaffafa. It's a very light kind of najis. And it's usually not common in our society because for most of the boys, the baby boys around us, they eat other things. They consume baby food and stuff like that. So most people don't actually have this. But if it ever happens, they feel like a baby brother or baby son maybe in the future, and then they urine, right? And this baby is less than 2 years of the hijri age. It means the Islamic calendar, right? And this baby only drinks milk and nothing else, right? So you can just sprinkle water on the spot. They have to wash it. The sprinkle water on the spot is enough, right, to remove the najis. Okay, all other forms of najis is moderate, and inshallah next week I'll go through this one. Remind me, this is where we stop, okay? Because I want to go through into all different types of najis for us to be very careful about them. So here you have urine, blood, vomit, feces, carcasses, alcohol, right? They must be removed such that the color, smell, and taste are no longer there. And I will go through these things inshallah next week. Okay, all right. To stop there for today. Any questions? You have any questions? Okay, no questions. We stop there for today. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أن الله يرزقنا علما نافعا وعملا خاصا وسليم ودلالة على الهدى ويسر بقول النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم وإلى أرواح المعاني من مشايخنا وذوي الفضل علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. عليكم.